Hi, welcome to NowUC News. I'm Ungi Timor.
And I'm Isaac Naruzi. On today's program, student anger at lack of UC parking, jobs under threat in the local greyhound racing industry, and Floriade organisers claim success despite criticisms.
But first, students at the University of Canberra have expressed their frustration at the lack of parking on campus. A report confirming that more than $500,000 in fines were issued last financial year has angered local students. Isaac Naruzi has the details.
AM at the University of Canberra. Students and staff driving around in circles searching for a car park. More than $500,000 in fines were issued to staff and students for parking violations last financial year, a figure that some students find staggering.
The fact that we paid, expensive fees for parking, $300 odd, and then after 11 o'clock we can't actually get a car park anywhere, which makes me run late for classes and labs and all that, which affects my education.
A grand total of 4,674 fines were issued, including fines for disobeying no parking signs, stopping in loading zones, and parking on paths and strips. A petition has been set up by the University of Canberra Student Association to improve parking at UC. President Nawaf Ibrahim believes that not enough is being done.
We have more and more students coming into UC, and there's more residential accommodation going up across campus as well. So not seeing enough being done to actually improve parking on campus is a huge worry for the Students Association as well as the general student and staff body at UC.
The Director of Estate and Facilities Management at UC understands the frustration of students and says that the university is planning on investing more than $1 million in overflow parking.
We intend to improve the student experience. We want to put more parking in here. I'm spending $1.4 million this year. That will provide additional spaces for parking. It will provide security in terms of lighting and CCTV, and I think that's a good thing for the university going forward.
Until then, demand for parking is only set to increase. Isaac Naruzi, NowUC News.
Youth mental health in the ACT is declining, and suicide and self-harm rates are increasing. It has been 3 months since the Legislative Assembly finished its inquiry into youth suicide and self-harm. With waiting lists as long as 6 months, health workers warn there aren't enough services. Liz McCarter reports.
Eva is 1 in 4 young people diagnosed with a mental illness in the ACT. She says that an overwhelming combination of struggles at home and at school led to her illnesses.
When I was 13, I experienced sexual assault, and so I think it was a lot of different things, and it all just sort of piled up, and I just got quite unwell.
Welcome to Lifeline, may I help you?
Lifeline volunteer and youth mental health advocate Sophie Hope says the lack of funding is increasing the waiting times at the limited services available.
Psychiatrists and psychologists, though I know it's really difficult for people to get into the private system that costs a lot of money, but there is a public system through ACT Health as well. I believe there's waiting lists, but again, it's good for money-wise.
Eva says that the lack of mental health services has been detrimental to her recovery. With mental health wards here refusing to take her in, she travels to Sydney for treatment. She's now studying psychology in a hope to help those with mental illness while gaining a better understanding of her own diagnosis.
And I just hope to come out of this degree and be able to go into a field where I can help people the way I've been helped by certain mental health professionals in my life.
Though resources are limited, Sophie Hope wants people to know that they are not alone and has this message for those struggling with mental illness.
I'd also say that, seeking help can be incredibly difficult, and it can be stressful and exhausting, but in the end it's really worth it, and it can really improve your life. And also I'd just say, you deserve to be happy and you deserve to be healthy.
Liz McCarter, NowUC News, Canberra.
With the New South Wales government reversing its decision to abolish greyhound racing, it is unsure if the ACT government will follow suit. Ricky Kelly reports.
It is your typical Wednesday afternoon at the Canberra Greyhound Racing Club as the trainers prepare their dogs for the next race. Recent debate has focused on the treatment of dogs, however less attention has been paid to the impact of closing down the industry on local jobs. Greyhound racing advocate Martina Taliano believes that the decision will have a serious impact on those involved in the club.
These are family businesses, and without them, I don't know what these people will do. Mental health is already such a huge issue within the Australian community, and if you take away somebody's job, their passion, their connection with community, what do they have left?
While workers associated within the club may have their job under threat, CEO of the RSPCA in the ACT, Tammy Van Dange, believes that the welfare of the dogs would be a stronger priority than saving jobs within the club.
If I had to think about thousands of animals dying from this industry versus 4 jobs, then, I mean, it's really hard to do a trade-off and say that one's more important than another, but I have to side on the thousands of dogs that are losing their life because of it.
Although allegations of animal cruelty remain ripe throughout New South Wales and the ACT, greyhound racing lobbyist Kel Watt believes that animal welfare has remained a strong priority for dog trainers.
The ACT government can have great confidence that animal welfare is being supported here. In 37 years of operation, there's not been a single breach, nor a single allegation put forward. And in fact, the people that run the sport here in Canberra are animal lovers, and they've done an outstanding job over nearly 40 years of keeping the bad eggs out.
With the ban expected to start mid-next year, in the meantime the club waits and prays for a reversal in the government's decision. Ricky Kelly, NowUC News.
Canberra's light rail project became a highly topical issue during the ACT elections. Eddie Bonsu reports from Gungahlin.
As the nation's capital prepared to the polls for the ACT elections, the light rail project from Gungahlin to Civic was a very hotly debated issue and was strongly supported by the Gungahlin Community Council.
Really exciting. It's going to be quite transformational. It's going to cause a lot of discussion and debate around how people get to and from work, and I think it's going to have a lot of value for the city of Canberra.
Despite the council's enthusiasm, Gungahlin residents are divided on the project.
Well, I'm totally for it, and I think it's very long overdue.
It'll stop all the congestion of the road, and it'll be good for the environment.
Against it because I'm concerned that only a few people will use it.
We should increase number of buses, that will help more.
Questions about the cost of the project were central to the Liberal Party's campaign. They argued it was too expensive and the money was needed for other key services such as new hospitals for Gungahlin and Taganon.
The scale of the hospitals that are being proposed by the Liberals is extremely small, and I have some concerns around how would you attract and retain staff in a facility that small, because quality healthcare in many ways is about scale.
Though the ACT election is now over, community opinion remains split over the best future transport options for the territory. Eddie Bonsu, reporting for NowUC News, Canberra.
The Australian National University has held its 34th annual Indonesian Update Conference. This year focused on digital media in Indonesia. I attended the conference to find out more.
Like the rest of the world, Indonesia is also feeling the effects of the digital revolution. Every year in Canberra, leading experts and academics come together to the Indonesian Update to discuss Indonesia's latest political, economic and social affairs.
This year's theme would be Digital Indonesia, the idea to look at the disruptive technologies that were permeating Indonesian societies.
Indonesia has the third largest number of smartphone users in the Asia Pacific, with approximately 55 million users, but that only represents 1/5 of the Indonesian population.
Our challenge to make it higher than that. Okay, every 10% increase of the internet penetration in Indonesia will increase 1% GDP growth. So increasing the number of Indonesians on the internet is very important.
Purbo says the Indonesian government hasn't created an appropriate initiative for the other 40% of Indonesians who live in rural areas. These rural communities are actually self-sufficient in creating their own internet, but it is illegal to do so. The internet providers in Indonesia are more focused in populated areas because it creates more profit. Hopefully, issues raised in the update will influence government policy.
You know, I think with Indonesia it's particularly important because it's a huge country, it's very well connected. There's a lot of potential, especially for investment and sort of the boosting of a creative economy, a digital economy in Indonesia. I think in that sense, that's kind of an area that perhaps the Australian government would like to connect with Indonesia on.
While it might not have had an impact yet, this is another aspect of inequality in Indonesia. Delegates of the conference hope these strategies will tend to reform the future. Angi Timor reporting, NowUC News.
The biggest spring festival in the Southern Hemisphere, Canberra's Floriade, was in full swing at Commonwealth Park last month. However, the event didn't run to plan, with torrential rain and complaints of fewer flowers. Zachary Gates has the story.
Although torrential rain has put a dampener on the famous flower festival in 2016, sunny days like today have attracted the masses.
We've had the highest rainfall on record for Floriade in its 29 years, and that's been a challenge for both the Floriade event organisers and our visitors. But on our sunny days, we've had really high visitation.
Other than rain, complaints surrounding this year's Floriade have been over lack of flowers. There are numerically just as many as every other year. However, the fact they are set out closer together than usual creates the perception that there are less, which hasn't sat well with everyone.
Of course, some people are a little disappointed with the change in the garden bed design.
Painter Mary Wheeler looks on the bright side. She was a painter both by training and trade and, even at the age of almost 80 years old, still paints a Floriade every year.
I'm feeling very relaxed because I'm used to painting with people around. And yeah, where else can you see such brilliant colours? It's beautiful.
Floriade, of course, isn't just about the flowers. There are rides for the kids and rides for seeing the sights. This band brought a lot of joy to the atmosphere today, especially when playing Cotton Eye Joe. Zachary Gates, NowUC News.
And that's all we have time for today. I'm Angi Timor.
And I'm Isaac Naruzi. Thank you for watching, and we hope to catch you next time.